Hey, welcome back. It's been 2 years since I made my last video here. A little bit disappointing to be leaving such a big gap since making a video and giving a bit of an update. I do look back on some of the comments and messages that I've had over the last 24 months or longer on the YouTube channel, and so cool when people do jump in there, watch one of the CPL videos or the other ones that we've put up and get a bit of inspiration or share some of their experiences flying. So thanks for that. It's actually really motivating on my side. I also had a call recently. Funnily enough, I was taking a break from work and we're up in Hamilton Island on a little holiday, myself and Mel, and I got a call from Captain who flies with Virgin. He was asking some questions for a family member of his about where to start and what to get going with their flying career. And it was so out of the blue. I was sitting on the couch, almost half asleep, and had the best conversation. And it's reignited a bit of a flame to get back into not only the flying plans that I have coming up, but also making videos. Because whenever do you get a phone call out of the blue from somebody like that? That was really cool. So yeah, it's been a big gap. 2 years. I sort of regret it, but also, life catches up, everything gets busy, and that's what happens. So here we are. I do need to just give you an update on what's coming up. I'll give you a bit of a tease, to be honest. So I've got an update on the plane, KOW, and what's been happening with that over the last little while. I'm also going to dive into a little bit of the financials on the idea of what I had planned for the old Cessna. One of the things that is always top of conversation when guys are doing flight training is how much it costs, where do you get the money from to do it. So I'm going to dive into a little bit of that and then also talk about what's coming up with my instrument rating. Finally, I've carved a window into my schedule and life to be able to jump in and do my instrument rating. Funnily enough, we're having a baby, or we're having our first kid, so going to coincide in a similar sort of time as when the bub's due, which is later this year. So that's also super exciting. Super exciting. Not too sure if Mel's that pleased about it, but we'll see how we go. Righto, so the plane project and the status of KOW. I reckon the last video I posted, well, I know the last video I posted was talking about what it's like to own KOW. And admittedly, when I watched that back, I go, holy hell, I am really out of my depth. I had no idea what I was doing. Nevertheless, I've had the girl for just over 3 years now, done a couple hundred hours in it, and it's been in for some big services. The original plan was to grab it, spend a bunch of money and time and energy on it, and even make a video doing it up and getting it back to ship shape. And yeah, that was the original idea, and I did my numbers on it early on. New engine, basic avionics, paint, interior, and a lot of that work I still do want to do it myself, so I can get obviously hands-on, learn ins and outs of everything to do with plane building, whilst bringing something back into its next sort of stage of life, if you like. I got pricing, and my original estimate was around about sort of 70 to 90 grand to put a 160 horsepower upgrade into the old KOW. That was back in 2022. Got things in order, flew it up to Queensland, got it out to Kingaroy. All right, now that time frame was more than 12 or 18 months. Then we got it on the ground, started pulling it apart to get a bit of an idea of where we're at, started finding out a little bit more about what I needed and what bits and pieces we needed. And that original assessment went from, 75, 90 grand up to probably north of 140. So at this point, it's a bit sad, but KOW is sitting in a hangar in southeast Queensland, or just out in the South Burnout, waiting for a bit of love. But the upside is, it still will happen. It's just not happening right now. So what we found, the engine in it was timed out. Some of the compression on the cylinders were probably at a point where there was no real point in restoring the old IO 300. For that reason, decided to cool it on that engine, part it out, There's 4 really good cylinders and a bunch of other really good parts on that piece. So I will be parting it out to try and add to the kitty to be able to go in and get the bits and pieces for the 160 upgrade over the next little while. But for the time being, poor old KW's pretty stationary at the moment. So, which leads me on to what I've been doing for the last few years. Paying for flying and paying for aeroplanes is pretty expensive, as everybody would probably guess, and it's one of the first questions you get when you start talking about all this stuff. And how I actually planned to do that was to renovate and sell, or do a renovation flip project and take the profits out of it to pay for the airplane, which led me down a bit of a path. So over the last few years, inevitably I've bought and sold 7 different properties, and well, not sold them all, but we've bought 7 different properties, rented them out, bought them, renovated them, and gone through a bit of a process of learning how to do that and make a bit of money doing that. Because although my day job, working and flying in and out, is good, it's never going to be able to pay for airplanes and the amount of flying I'm doing. So I inevitably have filmed some of those house renovations, which I will include probably on the channel because some pretty good videos, and I know different pilots and different people that I bump into around the place are interested in how you're making your money, and what are you doing, what other side projects you got going on. So I'll try and share some of that, which could be interesting for anybody that's looking to get into that sort of thing. The plan still is to get back into fixing up the plane. It's just going to take a little bit longer, so you have to bear with me there. I want to give an update on the actual plane, so I'll probably head out to the hangar over the next few weeks, do a walk around and show everyone the state that's in, and try and even get some advice from the different people that do watch the channel to be able to steer us in the right direction. Some of you will probably say, can it start again? But yeah, it is interesting. Like, as somebody that bought the plane with no real experience of owning something and looking after it, big learning. It's a big learning. I've always owned boats, different motorbikes and that sort of thing, but it's a totally different beast because unfortunately with the airplane, you can't do all the servicing yourself. So you've really got to rely on good mechanics and obviously getting it in a timely manner to the mechanic so it can keep it flying. So that's that. I'll dive into a little bit of the renovation stuff that I've been talking about. So the first one we bought was a little crackdown renovation project we did in South Australia, and then did another one out in Kingaroy, which is where the plane is. Since I've bought another one out there that we're doing the duplex split. Rolled on to do another one on the Gold Coast here, townhouse, which worked out pretty well. And now sort of in a little bit of a transition pattern where I'm going to move into doing some other stuff on the Gold Coast as well, which is cool. But yeah, check those videos out if you're interested in that sort of thing. All right, what next with the flying? So I've got my IREX and my instrument rating coming up. Just gone ahead and spent $700 or so at the flight store. Bought all the up-to-date books, bits and pieces. This has been it's been a bit of a prickle in my foot for the last few years because I bought all the books and I started studying in 2021 after I finished my CPL, and then I put it down and went on to do a heap of flying around the place, which was, in hindsight, I don't regret any of it, but it was also, you lose that frequency and the recency of flying with a training crew and flying with other people, having your head in the studying game to be able to. So at the moment, I've got the Bob Tate books, I've got all the charts, I've got all the materials, I've got all the bits and pieces. I'm aiming to sit my IREX exam in, the end of September, to go in and start my instrument rating training in October. So a couple of months, but it's going to creep up pretty quickly. That's a big step. And then obviously some really fun flying with some multi-engine stuff, doing it with the guys at Fast Aviation down in Lismore there. So yeah, really excited about that. It's going to be great. Yeah, so look, that's the nuts and bolts of the update at the moment. A few really exciting things coming up, both with life, work, flying, everything in between as well. So, next up, hopefully we'll be sharing some videos on renovation, flight training, and see how we go with the multi-engine instrument rating. Hopefully we can get it done before Christmas and maybe take a plane and go out and see Lake Eyre or something like that. It'd be pretty cool. So look, thanks for tuning in again. Yeah, it's been a few years, but yeah, excited to get back into it and share some more flying stuff over the next little while so we can get back in the air and have some fun. That's what it's all about, right? All right. Thank you. Cheers.